election so far, from morning till now. It looks like the process is a model, compared to other elections that we've had, after 2019. But I have guests with me here who would actually analyze, some of the issues that this particular election has, brought forward. I have joining me now Mike Otsaha. He's a public affairs analyst. Many thanks for joining us.
My pleasure. Good evening, Nigerians.
Okay, I also have a very optimistic Nigerian. Yeah, he came in here smiling, excited about the process. Unjoku Emmanuel, the Director, Governance and Democracy Connected Development. He's an activist. Many thanks for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Okay, so before we talk about the issues, I'd like to just hear your assessment. Let's begin from there. You have been following development. I'd like to start with you, Mike Otsaha. Tell us, you've been following what's been happening in Osun, even if you're in Abuja. You are abreast with everything. So what's your assessment of the election?
Thank you very much. I think we'll say so far so good. We've not had, at least from media reports that we have monitored, we have not heard of any, incidences or a breakdown of the law and order. And there isn't much of a report around vote buying like we saw a month ago in Ekiti and all of that. So, and most of those who have responded to inquiries, particularly from your colleagues on how it has gone, have been full of praises for the process and for the institution. So I think it's fair enough to say so far so good.
Okay, so far so good, Emmanuel.
We're making progress as a nation. We're making progress in the electoral process. Like you rightly said, before now, a typical election day like this, you'll be hearing stories of ballot snatching here, gunshots here, violence here, someone killed here. Probably you're counting close to like 5 to 10 persons already dead. But all throughout today, and just not to completely agree with what you said around vote buying, there has been a lot of vote buying in this election. So we'll have boots on ground in all the local governments, and the reports are dropping. So the vote buying doesn't happen in the glare of people, but there is vote buying in almost every polling unit. But I tell Nigerians that I say that vote buying is progress in the electoral program, in the electoral process. It is progress in the sense that before now, what the politicians do is they try to manipulate some of the staff of INEC. They try to manipulate the whole process. But all of a sudden, the politicians have realized from the strength of the Electoral Act 2022 and with the introduction of the BIVAS in the electoral process, the politicians have woken up to realize that the whole power is in the hands of the people, the electorate. The power is in the hands of the electorate. And that is the reason why they are all going to the electorate to try to buy their votes. Because the power is now with the people. It's no longer like you have it before in an election. You just wait. Even if it's just 100 persons that comes out to vote, once they leave, you bring out the incidence form, you fill in all the names on the voter register and have one person thumbprint. Now you need the people. You need, if I'm registered to vote here, you need me to come. You can no longer purchase my PVC as it used to be in the case from INEC, and you purchase Emmanuel's PVC and give it to one John to present himself and vote. It is no longer possible. Have you seen the videos trending last week of the boxes of PVCs that have been uncovered under drainages, in sewages? That number of PVCs, do you know why they are coming out? Because the politicians have realized they don't need it anymore. It's useless to them. So you are keeping PVCs. It's useless. You cannot use the people, because what the BIVAS needs is the person that is registered to vote.
I'm going to hold your thought there. That have made progress with vote buying. Yes, and I in Osogbo, gave us her experience about how the vote buying process is going. So I'd like you to continue from where you stopped, really. Yeah, because I'm interested in that conversation. I want to know how vote buying is progress. Is progress, exactly.
Yeah. So I say that because, like I was trying to say before, elections generally is a transaction. So you are running for office, you come to the people and you're telling the people what you want to do for them to vote for you. So you must tell the people you want to, like I heard them say, you want to give free education. You must tell them what you want to do for them before they will vote for you. Now, that same transaction is happening, but at a very terrible way of saying, I'll give you 5,000 votes for me, without considering the 4 years and the pain that you go through if you sell your votes. So that transaction is happening, but we need all of us here, civil society, Nigerians, media, everybody, even the political parties, we have a lot of work to do to now raise that awareness for people to understand that you don't ask for 10,000 naira when your primary healthcare centers are not working. You don't ask for 10,000 naira when your roads across your states are death traps. You don't ask for 10,000 naira when you don't have access to good healthcare facilities, when the public primary schools are dead. These are the things you should be asking for. These are the things you should be demanding for. And you hold them responsible if they don't do it. These politicians, they won't tell you. But they already know that the powers is in our hands as the electorate. They already understand that it is our rights now and our powers to employ them or to sack them after 4 years. Because the votes, like Madam Ene said, and that's true, the power is in the hand of the electorate. So if you understand that, you will know that these guys you're electing, you are employing them. These politicians, they are public servants. They are there to serve the public. So typically, me, myself, the electorate, we are their boss. That's why there's supposed to be a manifesto. We'll look at it. You are coming for an interview. You are presenting yourself to us for us to employ you. You come with your CV, your manifesto. We'll look at it and say, okay, for this reason, we are going to employ you to be the governor to serve us within these 4 years. After 4 years, it is still within our powers to review what you have done, to decide if we will fire you or if we will still hire you again for another 4-year tenure. So the power is, and that's why I say it is progress. We are making a lot of progress. Frankly, like you said, the Independent National Electoral Commission, they've done a lot for them to get us to where we are right now. I just checked the INEC result portal. Already about 1% of the results have already started dropping. That's about 300 and something results have already dropped as we are speaking. In the Ekiti election, I was in Ekiti. By 8:30 p.m. of that same election day, close to 85% of the results had dropped. By 10:30, 99% of the results had already dropped. And it's all what happened before 4 a.m. the next day.
Results.
They've declared it and returned the winner. So there's a lot of progress. So, like I always say, election and electoral processes, so it's not a 100-meter dash, is a marathon, but so far a lot of progress has been done, and that is the excitement. So I'm happy with what is happening in Osun State, because this is the last off-cycle election before the 2023 generation. So all of these things should create that excitement for young people, for Nigerians generally, to know that, hey, there's no violence here. This is no longer war as it used to be. This thing is already working. For them to now get out and participate. I mean, but sadly, I know that INEC, of course, is within their powers. They've just announced on Thursday, on Friday, that they are concluding the continuous voter registration by 30th of July. You know, sadly, that's 2 weeks, but that's still a lot of time.
But they've extended the time and they've included weekends.
Yes, so within this period, the extended I had is now from 8 o'clock till 5 p.m. or so.
Yes,
and then every weekend is that. But beyond that, so this is, I know INEC is watching. This is also for INEC to be able to let the citizens, INEC needs to do more. So it's not enough. You know, before now in FCT, in AMAC, people go to the AMAC area office to go and try to register. But because of the crowd and the turnout, they've decentralized it. But you've decentralized it. How much are you telling the people where these new points of registration are? The citizens don't know. So I believe that within these 2 weeks, INEC, if of course I know and I believe they want people to register, they need to do more. They need to come to the media. They need to talk to people. They need to use social media to engage Nigerians. So I let them at least know where this, because across Nigeria, I see people calling me that, hey, that they are in Abia State, they are in Umuahia, that they don't know where they are registering. If every INEC office should have a Facebook account, let people be able to find or know where to go and register. Nigerians, frankly, at this point, they don't know anymore. I saw the report from INEC. They said that in the past 1 week, that the population of people that have been coming to register has dropped. And so they're trying to justify, the reason why this thing has to end by 30th. But it didn't drop because people don't want to register. It dropped because the citizens don't know where to go to register. So please, INEC needs to do more to engage Nigerians across all the states so that more people will get on board to have this power. So see the excitement. I'm excited. So as I'm seeing them counting the polls, I can't just wait for 2023 to come.
Exactly.
For all of us. So why is the only Osun State that are enjoying this field? All of us Nigerians, I can't wait for all of us to participate and be part of this process come February 25th, 2023, and then the next election too. Saying elections drag till 11 midnight, 12 midnight before. It's because of the plans to read the process. So they keep delaying and they keep finding a way so that everybody goes. They now find a way to pay the party agents available, pay the security men. Then they now look at the ballot papers because typically the voter turnout in the past was usually less than 10%.
Yeah.
So in a polling where you have 2,000 registered voters, people that come out to vote are just about 200. And they're looking at the ballot papers and they're like, we can't return all these ballot papers. All these votes we need to make it count for somebody. So they now find a way to manipulate the whole process and now start writing names of every name on the voter register, ticking them, manual accreditation. So they start signing all the ballot papers, and one person start doing multiple thumb printing. So to balance all of those things kills time, and you see they like to do it in the middle of the night, so I don't know if the results don't come early. But now there's no reason for you to delay. Because the BIVAS, for people that don't understand, the BIVAS is an Android device. It's a simple device whereby the data of your data that is in the voter register has simply been put into this offline device and brought to the polling unit where you are registered. So before, when you come to the polling unit, you put your PVC and they analyze your PVC too. So it doesn't look at the face of the person holding the PVC. But now the BIVAS is saying, I need you, that your data is there. It's already preloaded in this offline device. So when it comes and they put it on your face, it's just like facial recognition of my phone. So I have a phone, I have facial recognition to unlock my phone. If I give it to you, you cannot unlock the phone. But because my facials is already saved in this phone, when you put it in your face, it pulls up that data, and that's what it used to accredit you. And at the end of the day, the result in every polling unit, based on the electoral 2022, cannot be more than the number of people that device has accredited. So if it's only 300 persons that it has accredited, and you have 320 persons voted, that result by law automatically is cancelled. So when you stay in the polling unit, coming back to what I said, and 500 persons have come out to vote and they are finished voting, what are you waiting for again? Because you cannot have more than number of people that have been accredited on that device as a result. And so there's no reason for you to start waiting and looking for a way to do mago. You just count the results there. And this is the reason why the violence has also reduced. Because in the past, they understand that when we were there, this is how we voted. We are sure that we voted for party A. There's a party called A. So we voted for party Samsung, for instance. So, but by the time they leave and the results come out later, they now realize that 2,000 votes came up on that polling for party iPhone. At that point, there is violence. That's the trigger for violence. But in this case, people are seated, they voted, they are there. The same ballot they voted, they are seeing it, they are counting, result is declared. End of story.
Let me make a quick point before I forget. So,
don't worry, we're going to build a 20-story building for you. We're going to tar all your roads to your houses, and then once they win the election, that's the end. The next election, they come with the same promises. So how do we really, solve this problem?
So first of all, I'll start with the people, the electorate. In the voter register, as of 2019, we'll have 84 million Nigerians registered to vote. But in that election in 2019, the presidential election, total number of votes, both voided votes, turn votes, then valid votes was about 28 million. Bearing in mind that the BIVAS was on there, so there was a lot of manipulation. No, so I'll start with the people. Now, the Ekiti election, the voter turnout at the end of the election was 30%. Now, INEC is saying that they've registered close to about 12 or 13 million more people across the country. So they are estimating that we may have about 95, if you saw that letter, 95 million persons in the voter register.
Yes.
Now, if we have Nigerians, you that you have your PVC, come out to vote, and the numbers are really high, it will no longer be cheap for them to even buy the votes as they are buying the votes. These things are possible because these politicians know that at the end of the day, so sometimes before the election, like we saw in Oshun, people were killed and all of those violence happened just to reduce the number of people that have come out to vote. So that vote buying becomes possible and becomes affordable for them. So out of 100 persons registered to vote, only 20 persons or 15 make their turn up to vote. It becomes easier. And meanwhile, mind you, it's not the whole 20 votes that you'll be able to buy. There are a lot of Nigerians who still cannot buy their vote. But at the end of the day, they try to buy the majority of the people that they will see that are really poor or ignorant. So at the end of the day, you see, you are buying just about 10% of the votes.
Yeah.
But if 90% of people that are registered to vote turn out to vote, and you're able to just buy for 20%, the remaining 70% will knock it out.
Sure.
So it's important to get to that point. Then two, in the polling units, like we've always seen, INEC before, is it 50 meters or so that they're supposed to give space for people not to get that close? You know, now, before this election, I have the rec of Osun saying that they've increased it to 300 meters, the barrier that they will create, so you will not be able to see who is voting. But these things are what they say in papers. But when the election is about to start, especially in polling units where there are numbers, there is this pressure of, I've been here since 6 a.m. Everybody are dragging to be the first. Sometimes I feel those things are intentional to put pressure in that polling unit and end up pushing themselves right in front of the poll clerks. That way, the party agents who are supposed to be there to see who votes for what, so that they can take notes and now get the person to receive his money eventually makes it happen. So if you open up that space, like INEC have said, is it 300 meters or even 500 meters? That way people are far from seeing what the voter is about to vote. It makes it now more difficult for people to be able to. It makes it now more difficult for people to be able to now buy votes. Then the third thing is the security personnel. I've been in polling units. When I walk into a polling unit in an election, if I stay there 5 minutes, 7 minutes, I will identify the person paying for the votes. You will always see the person either paying for the votes or the person that is giving tally. So you remember those days in the early 2000s, if you go to bank, then bank, they will give you tally. They will call it tally. They will give you tally. Then you go and come back after 7 hours because of the queue. Now this is what they do. So the whole thing is so organized. Now, as you're about to go and vote, sometimes the mail, like what we saw today, the mail party agents, they always know that these are the ones that want to know who is voting. So from what we saw, in some cases, you see a nursing mother carrying a baby, acting tired, sitting nearer to where the votes people cast their votes. She's the person taking note of if you are voting for APC, PDP, and so it's so simple because if you look at the ballot paper, APC is at the top.
I'm trying to say that women are instruments
Based on reports from the field today. So when you vote, and APC is at the top, PDP is down there. You know, so it's already easy. You don't need to come closer. You already know who the person voted for. So when the person, after you vote, you now move. There's the middleman. When you go to him, he now gives you a tally. Your name is written down. In some cases, the money is not even given in the polling unit there. Your name is written down. You're given a tally. Then you now take that tally and now go behind, just somewhere around, and then collect your money. Now, the point I'm saying is, if myself, who is not trained in security, intelligence, can come into a polling unit and within a short time, I can identify the people doing this thing. How is it that there is so much vote buying in Osun State today, and the Nigerian police, mind you, in every polling unit across the 3,500 and something polling units, there are at least 4 security personnel in every polling unit. And by this time, 5 o'clock, Nigerian police have not told us that they've arrested at least 50 persons found guilty of doing this. In Ekiti election, with all the security personnel across all the polling units, it took the AFCC to come into a particular unit to be able to make any arrest. And frankly, till now, as we speak, we do not know where their case is. INEC on their own part, they've really done their part. Civil society organizations, we've done our part. Citizens are doing their own part. But I feel that this issue of INEC, their job is not to arrest people doing vote buying. INEC is come and conduct the election and declare, return a winner. The security personnel, it is their job to identify these people, make arrests. But then sadly, we've had cases earlier today in one show, one of the person I was engaging had political background. He was telling me that before elections as well, that budgets are made for even the security personnel that will come to polling units so they will overlook whatever vote buying. So the security agencies need to wake up to arrest this issue ahead of 2023 election, so that we can for once have a credible election.
And then stems matter to these states. Some of these things still happen without arrests being made, without security operatives being up and doing. So what would happen in 2027? Do you foresee that things may not be as smooth as these right now?
So to put it in the right perspective, 21,000 policemen were sent to Osun State for this election. In Nigeria, based on available data, we have just about 360,000 policemen across Nigeria. 21,000 policemen is roughly about 7 7.5% of the whole
police
personnel that we have in this country, going to just one state out of 37, that's success plus the FCT. So what that means is that when the election in itself, as itself will come proper, we will not have this much volume of security personnel in all these polling units as we've created. Before, we had 120 polling units. Now the polling units have jumped to 176,000 plus polling units across the country.
And in Osun today, we have 3,763. So imagine...
So if we have 176,000 polling units, and we have just about 360,000 police. Meanwhile, mind you can't drive the whole police to just go and do election.
One governor has
the police,
of them.
So the VIPs have, and then they need police people in everywhere for other reasons beyond the election.
Exactly.
So it means that when the election in itself will come, you may not have this level of security. But for Osun and upcycles election, while we're also asking the security personnel to wake up, frankly, they did a lot today from the reports we're getting and how they coordinated polling units, how they managed tension in the polling units, how people that wanted to cause problems, we saw pictures of how they arrested people that want to, start unnecessary drama in the polling units, all of those issues. We saw all of those things. But then the vote buying. If you look at every person having a conversation about this election, I was in a meeting earlier today with the INEC chairman. Yeah, you guys were in that meeting. I think NTA was in that meeting. It was a Zoom meeting. Every person that is reporting was commending INEC. The BIVAS has been the biggest challenge. If you observe the FCT council post in FCT here, that was in February 12th or so. The BIVAS didn't do well at all. But so far with Ekiti and Osun, the BIVAS have worked, and a lot of people say
it's better in Osun. Ekiti had a little challenge.
Yeah, but it's better now.
So it's better.
So with all of these things being important, everybody is talking about vote buying. So this is where our problem is right now. So the security personnel, the government agencies, including NOA, the INEC the INEC department, voter education department, civil society organizations, media organizations, everybody we need to put this message in the faces of Nigerians. It needs to be heavy ahead of the 20. Even political parties need to be part of this trend to put this message on the ills and evil of vote buying into the ears. To me, vote buying is more like committing a kind of suicide or a carnage. Because you are taking yourself backward, you are seeking your power for 4 years, and if you sell your vote, you don't have right to hold someone accountable. Like you talked about accountability. If I sell my vote to you, it was purchased. So I can do as much as I please. You don't have that right to ask me how did I use the resources. Did you ask me where did I get the resources to buy the vote and buy you in the first place? So yeah.
But I'm just thinking now that maybe we shouldn't really clap for INEC just yet.
Okay.
Maybe we shouldn't just say, oh, we're going to get it right in 2023. Because I'm looking at some factors. For this election, it's just 5,305 BIVAS that was deployed because it's an all-cycle election. For the general election, they did more than that. Right? Now, Osun is, easily accessible. You could get to the polling units and all of that. Now, when we're going to have a general election where you're going to have some riverine areas and all of that and all this, we have some places that
inaccessible.
That are inaccessible and all of that. So, what do you think INEC should do? What do you think? Let's concentrate on INEC for now. What do you think INEC should do so that we can have this kind of excitement in 2023, so that everything is done right? Because we're saying, oh, election materials got to the polling units on time. This is Osun. So, what do you think INEC should do as we prepare for 2023?
So I will answer this question coming from what happened at Ekiti election, and this Osun election. So after the Ekiti election, our reports, we commended INEC anyways, and we also reminded ourselves that this is just Ekiti State.
Exactly.
Ekiti State had just less than 1 million registered voters. Ekiti State has just about 17 local governments in Ekiti State. Ekiti State, there is nowhere in Ekiti State that will take you more than 2 hours to get to any other part of Ekiti State. So for that reason, we say, well, Ekiti does not have easy to reach, terrains. So everywhere is, so for that reason, why we are clapping for INEC, well, let's wait for Osun. And I'll tell you frankly, possibly that's why I listen to Madam Ene, and I'm seeing conversations from civil society, election observers. Part of the excitement is that, So Ekiti had 900 registered voters, 900 plus 1,000 registered voters, and Osun has 1,900,000 and something registered voters. Ekiti has 16 local governments. Osun has 35 local governments.
For the Ekiti, just about 500,000 picked their PVCs, by the way.
So Ekiti, 500,000 persons pick their PVCs, while in Osun, where there is 1,900,000, 80% of them pick their PVCs.
Yes.
So that's more like triple the number in Ekiti. So more deployment, more security personnel. So we're waiting to see. Well, let's not clap for INEC in Osun. Let's wait to this point. So frankly, with what we've seen with early deployment, opening of polling units that started early, knowledge of. So then we also say there are a few ad hoc staff. Probably they were able to be trained. We are going to have more in Osun. Let's see how it works. And with what we saw today with the poll clerks, with the presiding officer, the ad hoc staff, they have reasonable knowledge of the process and what to do. So based on that, I will still commend INEC that they did well in this election today. But for the general election, which is a big election, elections in Nigeria is 90% logistics, getting people on ground in time. Very and like I said, difficult terrains. I'm talking about the BIVAS. We were meant to understand at the last civil society stakeholders meeting we had with the INEC chairman, where they mentioned that so they have 176,000 polling units, that they have purchased way more than that. I don't think it's double that number, but they've purchased enough to go around and also to substitute in situations where there is need for them to substitute. Beautiful. So why INEC continues to say that they are doing everything to be in place, we must let them not get into the excitement of the success of this election, because it's a different ball game.
Exactly.
Across the country, it's a different ball game. So this Osun is, I pity politicians when they do off-cycle elections, because the whole nation is watching you. All the secrets at the Ekiti election, I saw NDLEA, the Nigerian Drug Law Enforcement Agency, as part of the security personnel. I saw road safety, immigration. Did I even see fire? You should say fire service broken. So everybody was there to put pressure. Observers, international observers, all the election observers that observe election across the country, they are all in Osun State. All of that puts pressure and probably also, makes INEC prepare more. And so before this election, I think INEC deployed close to 6 of the national commissioners, not just in one state, but across the country. There are only 12 national commissioners. How many would they deploy to all the states? So, but we're telling INEC, while we are commending INEC for this, they should really step up their game and be prepared, because we don't want not anything short of what we've seen in Osun State election when the 2020 general elections will come.
So let me add,
Ojoko Emmanuel, you sound like someone who, anyways, that will be off topic. Director of Governance and Democracy Connected Development, many thanks for your time.
Thank you for having me.
Of course, when next you say a woman is a part of vote buying, I would like to see proof. Probably you get me a video so that
I'll share with you off camera.
Because I'm for the women, and I think that we would make democracy much better.
I understand that sentiment.
All right, thank you so much, for your time, everyone watching the Nigerian Television Authority.